Hey, welcome back to the podcast. This week we are doing something new in an episode, and I'm very excited to bring this to the podcast because I think that it is going to be very insightful for a lot of you, and really interesting. And what I want to say before I begin to share what it is we're doing in this episode and get into some of the content is just a reminder that the things I share here on the podcast are meant to be for educational purposes only. I am not giving you specific advice, as you, as just a listener, are not my client. I don't know all of the things about you. I don't know, all of the questions I would ask if we were working together, and therefore the things that I share here on the podcast, although they may come across as advice, and you might think, I sound a lot like what she's talking about and like these symptoms that she's sharing about. I should try that too. You just always need to remember to consult with your doctor, with your provider, sign up to work with me so that then you can actually get that personalized advice. And not just take something that I say as blanketed cookie cutter advice. I think you guys know by now that that's a big pillar of like my business and what I do is that I don't provide cookie cutter advice. None of you guys are the same. None of your situations, your backgrounds, your symptoms are the same, and therefore we would not treat them the exact same way. Okay, we got all of that out of the way. Now, what we're doing in this episode, I offer something called a quick start hormone audit. And what this is a review of an intake form that I have a person fill out, and I am giving some guidance, suggestion, tips based on the information that I gather in this intake form. And this is one of the really powerful things about taking a functional medicine approach to coaching and to helping women in any area, but of course, in my world, specific to hormones, is that some of the most powerful information that we get is from listening to someone's history, their symptoms, their story. Yes, the data that we get from testing is absolutely helpful, and it definitely kind of backs up the intuition inklings that we get when we have a conversation with someone or we ingest their information and digest that and think, okay, because they're telling me they're having this, and this symptom, I think this is what's going on. We can take action on that, but having the data from testing is what helps us be really assured that we're moving in the right direction. But there again, there is so much that we can learn and start to make small adjustments with just by listening to someone's symptoms, listening to their story, asking deeper questions. So I have put together this intake form in a way that helps me gather really important pieces of information that I need to know about a client when we start working together. And what I found over the past, 3 years of working with clients is that as I go through these intake forms, there's immediately things we can take action on before we get the test results back. And I know that testing is not accessible for everyone. So I wanted to begin to offer this as a way for someone to get started in the right direction until they can afford the testing or have the time to do the testing or whatever that situation might be for you. I wanted to offer this up as like a starting point. So I also wanted to bring these to the podcast, some of them, not all of them, but I wanted to showcase a few. So we'll be doing one of these audit episodes about once a month, probably, at least for a while. I want to hear your all's feedback. I want to see if they're helpful, if you like them. And it also just kind of helps you get more insight into what it looks like to work with me, what things I might be telling you, what guidance I might be giving you. And again, with that being said, just kind of keep in mind that this is a podcast episode. Um, this is not like the full extent of what it would look like to work with me or the advice that you might hear. It's just a little sample, a little taste tester. So what we're going to do first, I'm actively doing this audit as I'm recording this episode. I have like read through the information once before I hit record and kind of got some things together. But for the most part, I really just kind of wanted you guys to get a behind the curtain kind of look at the audit process. So the form starts out, first of all, this is client Jessica. She's 45 years old. So the form starts out, and the first question that I ask is, what is your biggest health concern or hormone concern at this time? Try to list your top 3 concerns and be as specific as possible. So for this person, she said, lack of energy. I'm crashing at the end of the day, and I'm pushing myself to do everything I need to. Mood swings, glad to sad in 10 minutes. Overwhelming stress, constant tightness in my shoulders. I just like shrugged my shoulder. You all won't see video, but I just like shrugged my shoulders. So I was reading that because I also hold all of my stress in my shoulders. Okay, the next question is, explain why addressing these concerns is important to you. She said, I want to feel well enough to actually live my life and enjoy it. I want to have energy to spend with my kids. Next question. How many hours of sleep do you get each night on average? Her answer was 6 to 7. Do you have problems, ... And this is like there's 3 options and you answer yes or no to each one. So do you have problems falling asleep? No. Do you have problems staying asleep? Yes. Do you have problems snoring? No. Okay, so this is always a point that I kind of stop at and give some thought to. So she's getting 6 to 7 hours of sleep a night. That's not terrible. We would like it to be 7 to 8, but you know, that's not terrible. We would like to see some more consistency with that 7 to 8 hours. So that's definitely something that we can work towards. But the first thing that we need to address is the quality of sleep that she's getting, because here she's saying that she's having trouble staying asleep. Now, when someone tells me that they're having trouble staying asleep, I have questions. What is it that's waking you up? Do you know what's waking you up? Do you wake up because you need to pee? Do you just kind of wake up and you have no idea why? Are you having bad dreams that is causing you to wake up? Do you have a kiddo that's waking you up? Whatever the answer there is kind of gives me some more insight and some more direction. But what I will say that I commonly see when someone is having trouble staying asleep, a lot of times this is related to cortisol and blood sugar imbalance. And we can kind of begin to mitigate this by examining what time is someone eating dinner and when are they going to bed. Like how much time is passing between bed and dinner, and then also how much time is passing in the morning from when you get up to when you eat breakfast. So like what is your it's called a fasting window. And it's not that the person is doing intentional intermittent fasting, but we are all fasting overnight because we're not eating in the middle of our sleep, you know? So how many hours is the person going between when they eat dinner and stop eating anything else and then when they have breakfast the next day? A lot of times when that is a large window, you can have, and also just depending on what your dinner is made up of, like what components you have in your dinner, like protein, fat, fiber. Um, Sometimes what is happening is that in the middle of the night, your blood sugar is actually dropping. And so your body has to release cortisol to bring that blood sugar level back up. And because that cortisol begins to rise, it wakes you up. So, that would definitely be something I would have questions about. And we'll kind of come back to that when I get to like my recommendation section. The next question that I always ask is, do you feel rested upon waking? And she answered no. Do you use a sleep aid? And if so, please explain. So she says, sometimes I take 3 milligrams of melatonin. What is your current exercise or movement routine? Swim 10 minutes twice a week, walk 2 miles 5 days a week. And then she's also kind of explained that a little further and said, not at the same time, but in short bursts. Do you feel motivated to exercise? Yes or no? And she answered no. Do you feel unusually fatigued or sore after exercise? Yes. This is also something that always gives me pause. If someone says that they feel unusually fatigued or sore after exercise, that tells me that your body is probably at a point of burnout. Like if we did an HTMA test, we would likely see burnout, because to me, this tells me that when you do engage in the exercise, it's acting as a additional stressor on your body, and your body is not responding well to that and not able to recover properly from that. Now, of course, there is always a question of like, are you sore because you have not exercised in a really long time? And truly, like you have just exerted your muscles in a way that you haven't in a long period of time, and soreness is normal. But then we want to dig into like, well, how long does that soreness last? And the fatigue piece is really the alarming part of it too, because yes, when we're exercising, we are exerting ourselves and that can make us tired, but you should not feel fatigued for like an extended period of time after you've done the exercise. Or some people will tell me that they almost feel like a hangover effect almost the next day. And that's not normal. And what that would tell me is that whatever type of exercise it is that you've chosen to do that's led to that feeling, it was too much. And we need to dial it back a little bit. Okay, next question is, do you currently follow any of the following special diets? There's a whole list of them. It's a checkbox system. She didn't check any of those. How many meals and snacks do you have on a typical day? 4. I would say that's pretty normal. Um, Most people, we need to be eating 3 meals and 1 snack a day. Do you do intermittent fasting? No. How many meals do you eat out per week? 0 to 1. I think that's excellent. Select any factors that apply to you and your current lifestyle or your eating habits. So she checked fast eater, dislike healthy foods, family or significant other don't like healthy foods, and eat too much under stress. So, first of all, I think we can address fast eating. I think that this is a habit that we get into from elementary school on through being in the workforce. So, my kids are in elementary school, they get 20 minutes to eat their lunch. And it's not even just that they get 20 minutes to sit down and eat lunch. That's 20 minutes to go through the line, get your food, sit down, open everything up, eat your food, then it's time to get up and go back to class. That is a really rushed meal if you think about it. So, that starts being engraved in our brain from such a young age. It just becomes a habit. And then when you get into the workforce, most places you're getting a 30-minute lunch. That is your break time. And again, I've either got to go get food, I've got to go to a cafeteria, wait in line, or I've got to get out what I've packed. Maybe I've got to heat it up. We are constantly kind of being put in this situation where we have to sort of rush through our food. So that might be a time constraint issue, or it might just be because it's a habit at this point because you've had to do it for so long. One way that you can kind of easily help to slow this down, and this is something that it will take you a while to implement this because you will forget because you haven't made it a habit yet. But as often as you can, when you sit down to eat a meal, I want you to, there's a couple other things that I want you to do. I'll get to those in a second. But this piece of what I want to say, I want you to sit down and take 3 deep breaths, slow, deep breaths before you begin to eat. That helps our body to calm down our nervous system and get us into hopefully a state of rest and relaxation where we can better digest our food versus when we're rushing around and we sit down and we're just like scarfing in bites and we're trying to rush, get through our meal and we're eating super fast. That whole time that we're consuming that meal, our body is still like either in fight or flight or on this verge of being in fight or flight. And when you're in fight or flight, your body does not prioritize digestion because it's worried about keeping you alive. And so that can lead to bloating after meals, um, abdominal discomfort, trouble either with diarrhea or constipation. It can kind of go either way. And then you also, because your body is not prioritizing that digestion, it's not breaking down your food in the same way. So then you're also not absorbing as many nutrients from it. So the deep breathing before the meal can help with that. The other things that I was going to say is take the time to actually sit down at, a table and eat your meal. And this is especially important when you have even more control over it. Like when you're at home consuming meals, sit down with your family at the table or your partner or whoever it might be and consume your meal. Put the phones away, turn the TV off. Like, just be present with yourself, your food, and the people around you and eat. Those things, all of that contributes to our body feeling like it's in a safer place and a safer position so that you can get into that rest and digest state with your nervous system and better digest your food. A couple of nights ago, we as a family ate outside for dinner, and it was so nice. We don't get to do that a lot in the summer because my back deck we are like blasted with the sun, and it gets really hot out there, and the sun is literally right in your eyeballs. But we've hit the point in the year where, because the sun is going down a little earlier, it gets behind the trees, and like the temperature's just nice. Like, we sat out there, the sun was going down. We have this little it's I would say a fire pit. It's not a fire pit. It's like a little, I don't even know what to call it, but it's like, like we lit this thing on the table, so there was a little bit of fire. There was, like, we could hear nature sounds because we were outside. My daughter was like, "Mom, can we play some music?" So we played some music that we all liked, and like it was a whole vibe. And I just like took note of the fact that I was very relaxed during that meal. My kids also did so much better about staying in their seat and actually eating their food during that meal because they weren't distracted by like all the things inside the house that maybe they normally would have been. So therefore, I was also in a better state because I wasn't constantly having to say, "Kinley, get in your seat. Hollis, get in your seat. Hollis, take a bite." They were just, I don't know. It was a whole vibe and it went really well. And I know that just got off on a side tangent, but like, if you get the opportunity, also go consume some of your meals outside. Even when I'm here by myself at home during the day to eat lunch, I love to go sit on the back deck outside. It gets me away from my computer that I've been around all day. A lot of times I leave my phone inside and I'm literally just out there seeing the view and listening to, nature. Okay, in terms of disliking healthy foods, I totally understand this. I have a very picky husband. I have a husband that does not like to try new things. I would encourage you to try incorporating some new foods that are healthy for yourself and your whole family. As you've said here, you also have a significant other family that don't like healthy foods. Try cooking things in different ways. You don't have to like every single vegetable, but find a few that you do like and you like a certain way you cook it. Like, maybe it's steamed, maybe it's baked, maybe it's broiled, maybe it's on the grill, whatever it might be for you, all the different ways that you can cook vegetables. And it's not just vegetables, but like fruits too. All the different ways that you can cook vegetables change the taste. So maybe you just need to find the thing that you do like and then focus on incorporating more of that. You don't have to force yourself. I get into this, I get into this phase. It happens a few times a year where I try to make myself like cottage cheese because it's such a good protein source and it has good fat in it too. And I just flat out don't like it. I do not like it. It doesn't matter. I'll hear somebody share like, "Oh, this brand of cottage cheese is the best. It tastes different from all the other cottage cheese. Like, it's the one you need. Even if you don't like cottage cheese, you'll like this one." And I'll be like, "Okay." I drink the Kool-Aid, I go, I get it. And then I take about one scoop out of it and the rest of it goes bad in my fridge because I don't like it. You don't have to continue to force yourself to try to like foods that you don't like. If you don't like them, you don't like them. But let's focus on the things that are some vegetables, are some fruits that are going to get you some fiber, that are going to get you some of those minerals and micronutrients into your diet, and just eat more of those. Okay. Next question on the audit is, do you drink caffeine? If so, how much? 3 to 4 cups daily. Now, maybe I need to refine this question a little bit because I always want to know, what does 3 to 4 cups mean to you? Because a cup technically is 8 ounces. But for most people, they're filling up a whole tumbler of coffee and calling that a cup of coffee, where really, by measurement, it's like 2 or 2.5 cups of coffee. I know that I probably sound like I am the, I don't know, queen of telling you you can't have your coffee. And I don't really mean to be, but consuming 3 to 4, even if it's just cups, even if it truly is 8-ounce cups, that's a lot of caffeine for your body a day. And I know that people are like, Vina, I'm already struggling to get through the day. I don't think I can make it without the coffee. What I will tell you is that for my clients that have been like, okay, Vanda, you've told me to do this. I'm going to try it. I'm going to swap to the mineral drinks and reduce my coffee intake. You don't have to eliminate it completely. I'm going to reduce it. They come back to me within a matter of a week, 2 weeks, and are like, you were right. I notice a huge difference and I feel so much better. When you are consuming coffee in these large amounts, that caffeine is contributing to the pattern of your cortisol throughout the day because caffeine is like this boost, and that spikes our cortisol a little bit and it keeps us in this like heightened state. And you're like, well, Vana, I don't have energy. That's what I want. That's why I drink it. That's why I need it. And I do understand that, but then it also on the back end of that affects your sleep for the day. So here's kind of my general rules around coffee. Number one is a very hard rule. No coffee until you have had food for breakfast. You can drink that first cup of coffee along with whatever you're eating, but I do not want to hear you drinking a cup of coffee on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. That is not serving you well. It's not serving your hormones. It's not serving your cortisol levels. It will affect you negatively in the long run. And that is a hill I will die on. Past that point, like once you've gotten up, you've gotten some food in your belly, you're eating your breakfast, you can have your cup of coffee. But by lunchtime at the latest, I really would like to say like 10, 11 a.m., but I'll give you till lunchtime. I don't want you having any more coffee for the afternoon. Because when we do that, when we have it late in the afternoon like that, and you're like, oh, I just need a little pick me up for the afternoon. I got to get through all my afternoon activities. I got to deal with all these kids this afternoon. They've got 50, 11 activities. I need the energy. When you do that, you are affecting your sleep because you're affecting your body's ability to begin producing melatonin in the late afternoon so that you are sleepy at bedtime. So instead of your afternoon coffee, I want you to have a mineral drink instead. Or just drink water. But no, seriously, if you're somebody that's like, no, I really need like a boost in the afternoon, have a mineral drink in the afternoon. Okay. Next question. Do you consume alcohol occasionally? Do you feel you have an excessive amount of stress in your life? Yes. Do you feel you can easily handle the stress in your life? No. What type of relaxation or stress management techniques do you use? Deep breathing, walking, meditation. Love all three of these. What resources do you have for emotional support, spouse or significant other, and friends? Okay. I don't know that there is like one of us in the world right now that would say they don't have stress in their life. We are inundated with things all of the time. Stress from our job, stress from our family, stress from the 50 million things we've got to do and got to get done, stress from the bills that need to be paid, stress from worrying about our health, stress from environmental toxins that are, we are being exposed to even when we can't help it. Even if we're someone that's like, in my home, I try to make healthier swaps. I try to, consume less toxic products and foods. That's great. But when you step outside of your home, there are so many things we're being exposed to that we don't have any control over. And all of that acts as a stressor on our body. So there's various different forms of stress. And we are just as a society here in America living in a time of high stress. And I think that the advice to tell somebody that like, we just need to stress about less things, that is the worst advice I think I ever hear given. It's terrible advice because it's not that easy. It's not just, you can't, like, if we could do that, then we'd all just do it, right? So I love that Jessica here has already some knowledge of like what things she does to help her manage the stress. A question that I would have is like, well, how consistent are you with implementing these practices? Like, if you know that deep breathing, walking, and meditation helps you to de-stress, then are you incorporating that on a regular basis? If not, how can we make that maybe a daily habit or just getting in the habit of in the moment? Like, if you're using the deep breathing, like in the moment when you're feeling really stressed and you're feeling really like heightened, to give yourself that pause and say, I'm going to take 5 deep breaths before I do literally anything else, or before I respond to this email, or I respond to this text message, or I get up from this chair to go deal with whatever I'm going to have to deal with. Giving yourself that pause can help you to calm down and reduce a little bit of your cortisol before moving forward. Overall, with stress, I have a whole lesson on this in that like my clients get access to, but and there's a lot of different tools and a lot of different strategies that I teach. Um, the one that's coming to mind right now for this person, knowing that they are 45 and that they've got kids to take care of and that they have a spouse at home, what are the glass and plastic balls in your life that you're juggling all of these responsibilities? And if you had to assign all of these responsibilities to a glass ball or a plastic ball, if you drop a glass ball, it's going to break and you can't fix it. If you drop a plastic ball, it bounces and you've got to walk over and pick it back up, but it's not really damaged. It's not, the world is not ending if you drop the plastic ball. Where are there things in your life that you can reduce your stress by eliminating some responsibility? Is there things that you can take off your plate? Are there areas of your life that you could just do something to make your life easier? Do you need to hire somebody to come in and clean your house once a month? Do you need to get a robot vacuum that cleans your floors for you every day so that you don't have to do it? Do you need to do grocery pickup or grocery delivery instead of going to the grocery store? Is there some type of activity that you've taken on that you can just like you no longer have capacity to and you don't want to give it up because you're going to feel bad for saying I can't do this anymore, but really it's causing you stress and you need to just let it go? I think of when I'm talking about this, I think of things that are like, I volunteered maybe to lead the Bible study class on Wednesday every week. And it's just, I can't keep up anymore. I need that time back to myself. Or I still want to go to the Bible study, but I don't need the pressure anymore to have to like prepare for it and what we're going to talk about and whatever. Like whatever that might be for you, maybe it's coaching your kids' team. Maybe you're going to finish out this season, but then you're not going to do it anymore. You're still going to be there. You're still going to participate. Your kid can still play, but maybe you just don't need the pressure and the added stress of being the coach or the booster parent or whatever it might be. All right, moving on down, we get into some period specific things. So are your cycles regular? Yes. But what I will say here is that I think she answered this one incorrectly. She said yes, they're regular, but then the way you answer the next question tells me that they're not regular. So my question was average time between cycles. So for example, 28 days, 35 days, 18 days. And she said they're sporadic, 22 to 90 days. So that is a very irregular cycle. But then she says usually 28 days. This person's 45, so they're perimenopausal. I would expect that it's likely time that we're going to be seeing some fluctuations and some changes. What I will say is that there's still support to be had until you hit that point of actual menopause, because you might still be quite a ways away from that. And there's no reason to suffer every month continuously with all of these symptoms between now and then and beyond. Menopause is not my specialty. Like once you hit that point, I have a friend to refer you to. Okay, the next question is, how would you rate your period cramps on average? 9 out of 10. That's significant, and we need to address that for sure. And then, do you struggle with any of these symptoms leading up to your period? So this is basically asking, like, what are your PMS symptoms? And I have a whole list of stuff, and she's checked nearly every one of them. We've got bloating, mood swings, headaches or migraines, increased feelings of depression, constipation, trouble sleeping, breast tenderness, low energy, carb cravings, diarrhea. Then my next question is, do you struggle with any of the following related to your period? And she has checked heavy bleeding, irregular cycles, and skipping or missing a period. And then the last question, kind of related to this, is do you use any forms of these birth control? She's not on any birth control, but she did have a tubal, I don't know when, but she's had a tubal in the past, probably years ago. And then the last question, there's a list of like reproductive health specific diagnoses. And I'm asking, do any of these apply to you? And it looks like she's been diagnosed with PMDD. Okay. Again, this person being 45, they are perimenopausal. I do expect to see some fluctuations and changes in their hormones. I'm not surprised to see some of these symptoms, but that doesn't mean that we just have to accept these symptoms and say, like, well, this is just how it's going to be until I hit menopause. There are still things that we can do to help improve and manage these symptoms, especially like the period cramps and all of these PMS symptoms. That's something that we absolutely can fix and work on, and improve. We might not be able to get every single symptom to go away, but we can absolutely improve it. Um, and we're going to talk about recommendations in just a second. We're almost to the end of this form. The last couple of questions are like on health history. So, have you been diagnosed with any medical conditions? Type 1 diabetes. So, this brings me back to the sleep question and tells me that she probably is having some fluctuations with her blood sugar that's impacting her sleep. A question like if I was on a one-on-one call with this person, or we were working together inside my period makeover solution program where we had the texting support, where we can text each other with like type text, or we can voice memo. I would be sending her a voice memo and being like, hey, tell me more about your diabetes. Tell me more about um, your levels. Like, what's your fasting numbers in the morning? Do you have a CGM, or are you doing finger pokes still? If you don't have a CGM, ask your provider about a CGM. Let's see if your insurance would cover that. Even if it's in the short term, it would be so worth the information. Um, and then because she's type 1 diabetic, she's also on insulin. So I would have questions about that. Like how often are you having to take your insulin? How much are you taking? Stuff like that. And again, those are questions that I can't get into in an audit, but I can, you know, ask about, and we can talk more about in the actual coaching container and program that I have with my clients, especially when we're working one-on-one. And this is where sometimes I think you guys don't know or don't remember, because I don't say it enough. Probably it's on me, it's not on you, but I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for 11 years. So when we talk about things like diabetes and medications and insulin, I have a lot of knowledge and insight into those things that, you know, I've taken care of many patients over the years with diabetes and a million other conditions that I have helped do lots of patient education on, that I can help with those things as well, because they are absolutely trickle down effect impacting your hormones. Okay. Other things to note here. So I ask then the next two questions, we're almost to the end here. I ask, what medications are you on that are prescribed by your doctor? And then what supplements are you taking? So again, she's on some insulin, a cholesterol medicine, sertraline, and montelukast. I have this really cool tool where I can look up, not for every single medication, but for most medications, what their impact to minerals are. So specifically, I have sertraline pulled up right now. And their sertraline in studies has shown to impact your folate levels and your sodium levels. That sodium level is critically important because we have a sodium and potassium pump on every single one of our cells. That has to have enough sodium to work efficiently, to be able to get things in and get things out of your cells. If that is not working efficiently, we got big problems. Sodium is also crucially important for your adrenals because we use up a lot of sodium in our stress responses. She's already told me that she's under an overwhelming amount of stress. That alone would tell me that she needs to increase her sodium intake, but then also knowing that she's on a medication that decreases her sodium intake or that causes her body to deplete sodium, that again reinforces to me you need to be consuming more salt. And I don't just mean table salt. I don't mean processed foods. I mean a high quality salt form of sodium that is like Redmond's sea salt. That's the one I typically recommend. You can get it on Amazon if they don't have it at your local grocery store. Then let me use my little tool here. I want to look at the monoleucast. So there's none for that one. Okay, I couldn't remember that one off the top of my head. Okay, then in terms of supplements here, she's got an Allertech and then a 1-a-day women's multivitamin. I wonder if that's like the brand 1-a-day. It probably is because I do say in the question, like, please, tell me the exact brand and dosage that you're taking. I am not a fan of most multivitamins because the amount of each individual vitamin that they put in there and the form of it is typically, they're not formulated in a way that our body can take them in, absorb them, and use them. A lot of times, if you get to taking a multivitamin, you can be throwing off levels, your mineral levels, without knowing it. Like you think you're doing this great thing by taking this multivitamin because it's supposed to have everything you need all in one capsule, one tablet, whatever. And you're taking it thinking you're doing this good thing, but actually, in reality, it's affecting your mineral levels, your mineral ratios, and that is therefore impacting a lot of other things in your body. So I do have a recommendation for Jessica here to switch to a multivitamin that I actually really do like. And I'll share that in just a second. Last two questions that, I ask here is, how do your current symptoms impact your life? And she said, I don't have the energy to play with my kids. And then the last thing is just like any additional information you think I need to know. And she said that she was on the sertraline because of her PMDD diagnosis, which totally makes sense. So with these audits, I try to give at least 3 action steps. I don't want these audits. I never, in any container that I have with clients, any work that I do with clients, I don't want it to feel overwhelming for them. I don't want it to feel like I'm telling you to have to overhaul your whole life. So I like to prioritize some things. The number one thing that I'm going to say for her is the caffeine intake. That would be my number one. Start with just trying to reduce the amount of coffee that you're having and implement that rule for yourself that you don't have coffee until you've had breakfast. That alone will make a big shift. The second thing that I want to talk about is the exercise piece. Especially as women age, it's very important that we're active for our bone health so that we do not become these frail little old ladies that are breaking our hips and breaking our wrist and not thriving as an aging adult. When our estrogen level drops, when we go through menopause, it impacts our bone health. And that's why building muscle and maintaining muscle as a young and midlife adult woman is so important. So keeping in mind that she has told me in this audit that she doesn't currently feel motivated to exercise. And if she does exercise, she feels, unusually fatigued and sore. What I want to start with is some very gentle, low impact types of exercise. I love that she's already doing walks. That's typically my number one thing that I recommend is a 20-minute walk a day. And it can be broken up into, I've got 5 minutes now, I've got 15 minutes later, I've got 5 minutes now, I've got 10 minutes later, I've got 5 more minutes later on. It doesn't matter how you break it up, it's just that you're doing it. So 20 minutes of walking a day. If you can get it in one 20-minute stretch, that's great. And as you do it more, if you can walk a little bit faster so that you're getting in some like zone 2 cardio, um, that is even better. But I digress. Um, Beyond that, I do think it's important for you to start to implement something that's going to help you build some strength. And I don't mean that you got to join a gym, get a gym membership and start pumping iron, you know. Um, you can do so much with just your own body weight and, a couple dumbbells at home. That's what I'm talking about. There's so many free resources for this. YouTube is excellent. There are women and men that are publishing entire programs on their YouTube sites that you can follow. I'm doing one right now. I'm doing a Yoga Lattes challenge with yoga with Cassandra. I don't know. I love her. I love her videos. She has 30-day challenges all the time. They're super easy to follow because they're like 10 to 20 minutes max. You don't need a lot of equipment to do them, and you're using your own like body weight to do the movements. So, there's an excellent idea for something for you to start. Start trying to incorporate something that's going to help you build some strength, because that muscle mass that you will build is good for, like I said, and good for your bone health. It's also going to help support your metabolism. And as you continue to age, your metabolism typically slows down because you're losing muscle mass. So building up muscle mass is a way that you can help boost that. So that would be the first two things. The third thing is I do have some supplements here. I'm going to send this over to Jessica through my FullScripts account. FullScripts is like a supplement store where you can buy various different brands in one swoop, only have to pay shipping once, plus you get a 10% discount. Their shipping is super fast. I've never had trouble with my orders. It's like I love FullScripts, and I almost exclusively recommend all the supplements that I use with clients through FullScripts now. There's a few favorites that I have that are not on there. But for the most part, FullScripts is the way to go. And if any of you guys are listening and are like, I would like to set up an account through your FullScripts so that I can order supplements there, please let me know. I have a link. You can create yourself an account, and then you can order your supplements through there. And like I said, 10% discount at least. Sometimes it's higher, and then super fast shipping. So the things that I've recommended here, I think there's 4 of them that I'm going to send over to Jessica. The first one is called Meta Balance from Thorne. And again, I'm just going to remind you again, I'm getting ready to go through these supplements. I was kind of hesitant. I honestly went back and forth about whether I was going to share this piece on the podcast or not. And I decided that I'm going to, because I just think it's good to hear. But I just want to remind you again, I'm specifically giving these recommendations to Jessica because I have this information about her. I've done this audit for her. I'm also to her going to give the caveat. You need to talk these over with your provider before you implement them, especially because you're on prescribed medications. Okay, moving on. MetaBalance. This is a product that comes from Thorne. I recommend this to a lot of the women that I work with that are in the perimenopause stage of life because it helps with a lot of those symptoms like moodiness, night sweats, hot flashes, stuff like that. Then I have creatine on here. Creatine's great for just about anybody. I specifically put this one on here because creatine helps us to build up our muscles. And again, I just got off the tangent about how important muscle growth and building muscle, how important that is for women. This is a powder. You put it in, like I have a drink that I fix every morning that's some collagen, the creatine, it goes in milk. The collagen is chocolate flavored. I take this every morning myself. It also, the big focus that it gets is that it helps you build muscle, but then it also has a lot of like good cognitive, like brain health benefits as well. Then the multivitamin switch that I'm recommending is Thorne's Basic Nutrients 2 a day. I really, really like this formulation. I have studied over it. It took me a long time, honestly, to find a multivitamin that I felt comfortable recommending to people. I have started taking this one myself, and I really like it. It's 2 capsules a day. I like to split mine up, one in the morning, one at lunch. And it's right now, it's the only multivitamin that I recommend to clients. Then I have MagSooth on here. You guys have probably heard me talk about MagSooth before. It's a magnesium source. It also has a little bit of sodium in it. You take this right before bed, and it will help you get into a deeper sleep. It will help with some blood sugar balance things as well throughout the night. And um, magnesium is needed for so many different processes in our body that I haven't worked with a client yet that didn't need it. So that is one that I have it in several emails. I recommend it all the time. It's one that I can pretty comfortably recommend to anybody right out of the gate. So I don't know how long I've been talking. My hope was that these audit episodes would be short and sweet and not overwhelming, but it is a lot of information. Excuse me, that you get when I do an audit. And I probably did go into some deeper detail today with this one, as I was just kind of trying to explain the process. So as I do more of these in the future, they'll probably get a little bit faster, but maybe not. I mean, sometimes I think having all the context is really helpful. So if you're someone that's like, wow, I would really like for Vina to sit down and do this for me, I would like an audit of my own. Make sure that you're on my email list. There's a link in the show notes to join my email list, or you can go to my Instagram. You can go to my website. Everything is Wellness with Vina. It's wellnesswithvina.com, or I'm at Wellness with Vina on Instagram, and you can get on my email list that way. As I have the availability to do these, I will open that up to my email list first. And then if this is your first time listening to the podcast, there are free resources linked for you in the show notes. Please hit subscribe so that you don't miss a future episode. I try my best to put out new episodes every Tuesday, and they are a mix of things. Sometimes it's educational, sometimes it's a case study, sometimes it's an audit like this. Every once in a while, we have a guest come in and talk about something. And I hope that you guys get a lot of value out of this. I hope you enjoyed this audit, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day.